So here we are, the last talk.
This for last, huh?
This is the last one. And hopefully you've been transformed by everything that you've learned and had an opportunity to share. And you know, when we were in introductions, I said, I'm here because your spirit feeds my spirit, and that certainly came true once again. No question about it. Have you been moved by the Spirit?
Yes.
No, it's a good thing to be a little uncomfortable. But the inevitability of tomorrow is right here. You know, we are going to return to our homes. We are going to return to our lives. In some cases, we're going to return to our jobs. Tomorrow morning, I'll be bright and early at work. And tomorrow brings distractions. I remember last year at the Challenge Weekend, I took copious notes. I was fired up, came down the hill with Tom Green, graciously gave me a ride down the hill from Idlewild. And I was all fired up, and the notebook went on the shelf, and I think it's still there. So let's talk a little bit about distractions. You know, I had the opportunity at my church here at Sacred Heart to attend a retreat weekend with Father Francis Pompey. And he shared with us, maybe some of you who also attended might have heard the same thing, but I thought it was worthwhile to share on our weekend. It's a little it's a little essay by Pastor Lou Fitting called Busy. So I'd like to read that to you now. It said, Satan called a worldwide convention. In his opening address to his evil angels, so it's like kind of a congregation with Satan and his demons, he said, we can't keep Christians from going to church. We can't keep them from reading their Bibles and knowing the truth. We can't even keep them from holding on to their conservative values. But we can do something else. We can keep them from forming an intimate, lasting relationship and experience with Christ. If they gain that connection with Jesus, our power over them is broken. So this is what I want you to do. Distract them from gaining hold of their Savior and maintaining that vital connection throughout their day. Let them go to church. Let them have their conservative lifestyles, but steal their time so they can't gain that experience and relationship with Jesus. The evil angels asked him, well, how should we do this? We'll keep them busy with the non-essentials of life and invent endless schemes to occupy their minds. Tempt them to spend, 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 and charge, charge, charge. Convince husbands and wives to work long hours and overtime so they can afford their lifestyles. Keep them from spending time with their families and talking to Jesus. See to it that every store and restaurant in the world plays anti-faith and contradicting music constantly. This will jam their minds and break their relationship with Jesus. Fill their coffee tables with magazines and newspapers. Pound their minds with the news 24 hours a day. Invade their driving moments with billboards. Flood their mailboxes with junk mail, sweepstakes, mail-order catalogs, and every kind of newsletter and promotion seeking free products, services, and false hopes. Even in their recreation, let them be excessive. Have them return from their recreation exhausted, stressed, and unprepared for the coming week. Don't let them go out in nature and reflect on God's wonders. Send them to amusement parks, sporting events, concerts, and movies instead. And when they meet in church to worship, involve them in gossip and small talk and make them bored and in their minds wander off to all the things and activities they become addicted to so they won't experience Christ. Oh, you could even let them get involved in church, service, and ministry, but crowd their lives with so many good causes that they have no time to seek the power from Jesus. Soon they'll be working in their own strength. Notice he said their own strength. Sacrificing their health and family for the good of the cause. You know, when I was being previewed for this talk at one of our meetings, Jim Foudy confided in me that golf had kind of become an obsession for him, to the point where it was interfering with his appointment with Jesus. I look back at some of my own behavior, and I've had a little bit more of an obsession for football on Sundays and Saturdays and things like that. So I'm guilty of some of these distractions, as he calls it, myself. Taking a long, hard look at what's getting in my way of an intimate relationship with Jesus. Shuffling my note cards here. Keep in mind, God desires all His creation to be filled with His presence, including the workplace. We are called to build the kingdom, and we have the power. Need I remind you? We learned yesterday. And suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind, and it filled the entire house in which they were. Then they appeared to them tongues of fire, which parted and came to rest on each one of them. These gifts are available to us, and they've been presented to us this weekend. You all said you were filled with the Spirit. It's here. It's not some mirage. It's right here, alive and well, right here in this room. How can we build the kingdom? Start small. Do simple little acts of charity. Network with your friends. A few of my heroes in here started small. Jeff Toner and Jim Foudy and Tom Kuhneman basically built this chapter from nothing, and look where we are now. Carol Zadell, 1 year ago, had no ministry. She currently has 100 people volunteering to visit the elderly, and that ministry is thriving and growing, of which my wife is part and Jim Foudy's wife is part of. Still seeking members. I could go on and on. Father Greg Boyle out in Los Angeles took a simple idea of just helping out some of the most impoverished members of his community, the gang members of Los Angeles, and lo and behold, Homeboy Industries was born and thrives to this day. We're called to build the kingdom, and together we can do it. We have all we need. The gifts are right there. What's CIC's role in all this? You know, about 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet John Sloan. I went to a retreat with him at Mater Dei La Rosa in Pasadena. And, you know, we spoke a little bit, but I didn't get a real chance to talk to him that much. And as a school teacher, I'm semi-retired as a school teacher. We only work 180 days a year. And I spent a lot of time attending daily mass when I wasn't working. And lo and behold, I kept running into John Sloan. There he was, you know, off to the left side of the pews, I believe, John. I would always see you over there. And lo and behold, one day, he just sticks this card in my hand. It's welcome to CIC, Friday morning, 7 o'clock. And I was a little taken aback and, oh, what is this? So curiosity got the best of me. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I walked and stumbled in one Friday morning, and I've been pretty much a regular ever since for the last 2 years. And it's been an unbelievable experience. I've been incredibly blessed by the men I meet with each week and opportunities like this weekend. But that's just the beginning. You know, there's all kinds of ministry opportunities. I just spoke of the Companions Ministry. I'm fond of the prison ministry and the men I work with there. There's the newsletter, this Challenge Weekend. There's many retreat opportunities. And I'd also like to give a little shout out to the small group meetings that CIC has available on Monday and Tuesday mornings. If you're interested in a little bit more of an intimate relationship, to speak and have the support of other men, you know, talk to Dwayne, talk to Jim. I'm probably missing a few other members that meet each week on Mondays and Tuesdays, but they would be glad to welcome you with open arms and take advantage of those opportunities. Remember, we're going home. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. We like predictability. Don't change my routine, but I'm telling you we have to. Well, if I change my routine, I might have to give up playing golf or watching football. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. Repeat after me. All things will be given you besides. There's room for these things. You don't have to give up golf. Jim, you didn't give up golf. But it's no longer to getting in the way of your appointment with God. I didn't give up watching football. I just don't watch as much of it, and it's not nearly as important as it used to be. You know, I was in deep prayer, asking the Lord, not only wrapping up my talk, but I had the distinct pleasure of wrapping up the weekend. And of all things, He gave me Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now this is rather fitting, consider I work with 11-year-olds all day long. And I was like, Lord, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Really? But upon deeper reflection, I'd like to shed some light on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm assuming most of you know the story. It was one of my personal favorites when I was young. And I found the movie to be equally delightful. I'll reserve comment for the Johnny Depp version. But for those of you, I hope you're familiar with the story. And upon reflection, I compared Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory to the kingdom, and Willy as our father. And if you know the story very well, because of packs of thieves in a sinful world and industrial espionage, Willy's basically shut his factory down and wants to keep it free of impurity. He wants to be able to generously give his gifts, aka the most wonderful chocolate confections and creations in the world, and wants to do it without any of this type of interference. There's near impossible access. And if you remember the song in the film, it goes, "The candy man can because he mixes it with love, and makes the world taste good." Well, ultimately, Willy has a need for companionship. He's a little lonely there in the chocolate factory. So he chooses a select few. Tom Green talked about the chosen ones. I chose you. So Willie chooses about 5 young children to get a sneak peek of his kingdom, his world, his magic. And not only do they get a sneak peek for a day, they get a lifetime supply of his chocolate, and this is real telling. They get an everlasting. I think there's kind of some unique tones there. You get an everlasting gobstopper. It's a piece of candy that never loses its flavor and lasts forever. So of course, Willie's arch enemy, Slugworth, who's living in this world, he immediately approaches these chosen ones and is offering them all kinds of riches of the world, the distractions I spoke of. Simply just exchange your everlasting gobstopper into my possession, and you can have these riches of the world. Here they are for you. Well, of course, the children show up to tour the little factory there, and due to their self-indulgent behavior, they soon separate themselves from Willie, break most of his rules and laws, and ultimately lose all their prizes, and they get sent home early besides. So the deal's kind of just off because they weren't able to follow the laws that he had put forth before they even entered the kingdom, the factory. Except for one pure-hearted child, the hero of the book in the film, Charlie Bucket. He is just sucking the whole experience up, loving every minute of it. Is Charlie without sin? Absolutely not. Those of you who know the story, he pilfered some fizzy lifting drinks, and upon judgment was told, your prizes have been revoked as well. You didn't follow the laws of the kingdom. Did Charlie love Willie? Without question. He loved him with all his heart and soul. And the real climax of the film and the book, upon receiving the news that his prize had been revoked, he returns his everlasting gobstopper to Willie. Proving himself trustworthy, proving his love for Willie, and in turn he was given all his prizes back and the keys to the kingdom as well, because he was taken in as a full partner into the factory. We all have a choice. All of you are holding one of these golden tickets. We're all holders of the golden ticket and all that comes with it. We can exchange it for the temporal riches of the world. We can take our everlasting gobstopper, cash it in, maybe have a few riches here in the world. But I suspect not too many of you would go down that road, or I don't think you would have invested this time with us this weekend. I don't think you would have done it. You may decide to hold on to your everlasting gobstopper. Just getting a chance to visit the factory, that may be good enough for you. Just having that everlasting gobstopper in your possession may be good enough. Or I suggest something a little different. You could give it back to the Creator. Prove yourself trustworthy and gain a greater reward in the kingdom. Thank you.